Jai Hind everyone, I am Dr. Neha Singh, Assistant Professor in CSC Department at Akgec Engineering College. Today we discuss the topic Dimensionality Reduction. So first we know what is the Dimensionality Reduction. So Dimensionality Reduction is basically to transform the data from high dimensional data into the lower dimensional. For example, like when we sending the large file of data through the email to the another person, then email provides us says MB files, limited files data to send to the another person. So we compress the large file and then send the data to the another person without compromising the quality of the data. So dimensionality reduction is basically a technique to use to transform the data from high dimensional quality to low dimensional space while preserving important information, often to improve the model performance and reduce computational time and enhance the data visualization. So dimensionality reduction is basically used for the converting the high dimensional data into the lower dimensional data, so without retrieving the quality of the data. So why we needed the dimensionality reduction? So some of the points first is a cures of dimensionality. So in high dimensional data, lots of features of the data, so machine learning model can struggle to learn effectively, leading the issues like overfitting, underfitting, and increase the increase the computational cost because of the high dimensional of data, because of the lots of features of the data. So high dimensionality reduction is needed for extracting the important features of the data, and data is produced to transform. So and second is improved model performance. By reducing the number of features, dimensionality reduction can help the model generalize to better new data and avoid the overfitting. Next, reduce the computational cost. Less data means training faster and processing time, which is particularly important for large data set. And also we need dimensionality reduction for enhanced visualization. So it's difficult to visualize the large amount of data with many dimensions. So dimensionality reduction allow us to represent data in 2D or 3D, making it easier to identify the patterns or features of the data. So how does it work, subdimensional reduction? So in high dimensional data, first we select the feature selection step, follow the feature selection step. This involves choosing the subset of the most relevant features from the original data set without changing them of the data features. So next step is the feature extraction. So after the feature selection, we use two feature extraction steps to involve transferring the original features into the new sets of feature into the high dimensional space to lower dimensional space. So some common techniques used for the dimensionality reduction, like PCA, similar value decomposition, T-distributed stochastic neighbor embedding, locally linear model. So principal component analysis basically used for the converting the high dimensional data to the low dimensional data with some formula like Euclidean, using with the help of Euclidean distance formula, like under root x2 का whole x2 minus x1 का whole square plus y2 minus y1 का whole square. So now next technique is the singular value decomposition. So singular value decomposition method is a matrix factorization technique that can be used for dimensionality reduction of the converting, also used for converting high dimensional data to low dimensional data. Next technique is a T-distributed stochastic neighbors embedding. So it is a non-linear technique often used for the data visualizations. And last is a locally linear embedding model, या LLE model. So another non-linear technique that preserves the local structures in the data. So dimensionality reduction real world examples, like it is used for text categorization, image retrieval, gen expression analysis, intrusion detections. So in text categorization method, we vast amounts of online data dimensionality reduction to help to classify document into predefined categories by reducing the some features space like word or phrases with while maintaining the accuracy. So next example is image retrieval. So in image retrieval, gross indexing based on the visual context, like image color, texture, shapes, and so many so many features rather than just text descriptions has become essentials. This allow for better retrieval of images from the large database. Now next example is gen expression analysis. So dimensionality reduction accelerate gen expression analysis, help to classify samples like leukemia by identify key features to improve the both speed and accuracy of the features of the data. Now next is the intrusion detection. In cybersecurity, dimensionality reduction helps to analyze user activity patterns to detect behaviors and intrusion by identifying optimal features of the for the network monitoring. So advantages, some of the advantages of a dimensionality reduction, like faster computation. When large amount of data we process and analyze, then we reduce some features of the large amount of data without modifying the quality of data. So process data more quickly. So this result is faster model training and testing, which is particularly useful when working with the large data set. And we use dimensionality reduction for better visualization of large amount of data, and also we use for the also provide the dimensionality reduction to prevent the overfitting of the data. So overfitting of this model generalize better to new unchained data and improves its ability to make accurate predictions. So some disadvantages of dimensionality reduction, like data loss and reduced accuracy. Like some important information may be lost during the dimensionality and affect the model performance. And choosing the right components, like how we decide the dimensions to keep difficult, as keeping too many lost value information, and while keep too many can lead to the overfitting. Now our next topic is dimensionality reduction is a principal component analysis. So also known as a PCA. So principal component analysis is a unsupervised learning algorithm, and that is also used for dimensionality reduction in machine learning. So in a statistical process that convert the observation or correlated features into the set of linearly uncorrelated features are called the principal component. So it is mainly used in the field that deal with high dimensional data, such as speech recognition, signal processing, bioinformatics, and so many. So it can be used for data visualization and noise reduction, cluster analysis, etc. So principal component analysis is well known as a dimension reduction techniques, and is transform the variable into new set of variables called as the principal components. And these principal components are linear combination of original variables and are the orthogonal. So the first principal component accounts for most of the possible variables or the variations of the original data. So there can be only two principal components after two-dimensional data sets. So in a principal component analysis divided into two categories. Like first is a feature selection, and second is a feature extraction. So in a feature selection, that refers to the training the relevant features of the data and discarding the irrelevant ones to ensure high accuracy of the model. So in a feature selection, we follow some techniques like filter method, vapor method, embedded method. So in filter method, we use correlation method, chi-square test, ANOVA method, and information gain. So in vapor method, we use the forward selection, backward selection, bidirectional method, and embedded method we use Lasso regression, elastic regression, and rigged regression. So after that feature selection, we follow the feature extraction method, also term feature projection, where the multi-dimensional space is converted into space with lower dimension. So some common feature extraction techniques are principal component analysis, linear discriminant analysis. So in a PCA, we use some components like dimensionality reduction, correlation, orthogonal, eigenvector, and covariance matrix. So dimensionality first is a dimensionality reduction. So it is dimensionality reduction basically is a number of features or number of columns present in the whole data sets. Second is a correlation. So correlation, how strongly two variables are related to each other, and such as one change to the another variables along to get change. And one term is used in orthogonal. So it defines the variable that are correlated to each other, and hence the correlation between the pairs of the variable is 0. An eigenvector, if there is a matrix of M and non-zero vector V is a given, then V will be the eigenvector if AV is the scalar multiple of V. Now, covariance matrix. So, a matrix containing the covariance between the pairs of the variables and called the covariance matrix. So some steps follow the PCA algorithm, like first we get the data, then compute the mean vector, then subtract the mean of the given data, then calculate the covariance matrix, then calculate the eigenvalues of the covariance matrix, then choose the components and forming the feature vector, and next deriving the new data points. So importance of PCA. So in the PCA is important because the compression is possible using the PCA, and in the high dimensional data where graphical representation is difficult, so PCA is powerful tool for analyzing the high dimensional data and finding the patterns in it. And the most effective expression of data, it is by use of perpendicular components as done in a PCA. Now our next topic is a linear discriminant analysis. So linear discriminant also used for the Dimensionality reduction, and it is also the supervised machine learning technique, and it is also used for the Dimensionality reduction. So particularly for classification, and also it is used for the classification problems. While it is not inherently deep learning algorithm in same way when as a neural network, and it can be used in conjunction with deep learning model as pre-processing steps or feature extraction model. So some key components of the LDA is the supervised learning, maximizing the class separability. So supervised, unlike principal component analysis, which is unsupervised, LDA requires the class label to perform its Dimensionality reduction. So, and also maximizing class separability. So the primary goal of linear discriminant analysis to find the lower dimensional projection of data that maximize the separation between the different classes while minimizing the variance within each class, and it achieves this finding the linear dimensions that present axes, enhancing this separation. And dimensionality reduction. So LDA can reduce the high dimensional data to the lower dimensional space and making it more manageable for subsequent analysis for training other models. And assumptions, LDA assume that the data within each class follow a Gaussian distribution and that all classes share the same covariance matrix. Applications of linear discriminant analysis or LDA. So first, feature extraction. So LDA can be used to extract the relevant features of the high dimensional data before feeding them into the deep learning model. So this can help in reducing the input density and potentially improve the model performance and training efficiency or accuracy. Pre-processing. In scenario with high dimensional data, we applying the LDA as a pre-processing steps can create the more compact and discriminative representation of the data for a deep learning model. Now our next topic is a manifold. So manifold is basically in deep learning refers to the integration of manifold learning principle and algorithm with deep learning architectures. So the core idea of the high dimensional data such as image, text, sensor readings data often lie on low dimensional manifold, so embedding within the high dimensional. So deep learning model can be designed to discover and represent the underlying manifolds. So the key aspects of manifold in deep learning model is non-linear dimensionality reduction. So deep learning models, particularly autoencoders, are well suited for the learning non-linear mappings from high dimensional data to lower dimensional space, which represent the manifold. Next key aspect is the feature extraction and representation learning. So by learning the manifold, deep networks can extract the more meaningful compact features, representation of the data, and computational the intrinsic structure and relationships. This can be to improve the performance in the deep downstream tasks like classification, clustering, or generation. And also used for visualizations like learned low dimensional data can be used for visualization complex high dimensional data, making it easier to understand pattern, clusters, outliers. And we use the techniques like t-SNE, UMAP can be applied to learn latent space learned by deep model. And also we use generative models like VAE and generative adversarial network, and can learn from the manifold real data and generate the new samples, the training data, by sampling from this learned manifold. Application of manifold. So a manifold used in a various field like image processing, neuroscience, medical imaging, and drug discovery. So in image processing, manifold used for denoising, super resolution, and image generation. And in neuroscience, manifold is used for reconstructing the neural activity and understanding the brain dynamics. And in medical imaging, analyzing the complex medical data for diagnosis and treatment. And the last is a drug discovery, identifying the relationship between the molecular structures and properties. Now our next topic is a metric learning. So metric learning is basically a machine learning technique and focused on learning a distance or similarity functions that is tailored to the specific task. So the main aim of to define the metric learning is a way to measure how close or how similar to given data points are, which is crucial for tasks like classification or clustering and retrieval. So essentially, it learns to map data points into the space where similar items close together and dissimilar items are far apart. So used for the how our data is close or how data is items are far apart. So the core idea of metric learning is a distance metric or similarity function that optimize the particular task. So this is default for using the predefined metrics like Euclidean distance, where the best choice might to be obvious complex data sets. And the goal of the metric learning to the underlying relationship between data points and making it easier perform tasks like classification and retrieval of the data. So how work is metric learning? So first we apply the feature embedding. So metric learning often involves transferring the original data into the new space called the embedding space, and where the learned metric is applied. Now second step is distance calculations. So after the learned, the metric is that used to calculate the distance or similarity between data points in the embedding space. Next is optimization. So the learning process involves optimizing the parameters of functions and minimizing the distance between similar data and maximizing the distance between the dissimilar ones data. Example of metric learning, like it is used for the face recognitions. So in face recognition can be used to learn a distance functions that map face images into the space where faces of the some person are close together, even there are a variation in poses, lighting, or expressions of different persons. So next example is the image retrieval. So it can learn a mapping where visually similar data are clustered together, or allowing for efficient retrieval of the similar images from the large data set. Then a person re-identification. So in metric learning also used for the identification, metric learning can be learn or distance metric that effectively distinguish between the images and images of different people while keeping image of the same person close together. Types of metric learning. There are various types of metric learning. First is a linear metric learning. So in this linear metric learning, like Manhattan distance learning, learn to linear transform to map the data into the new space. Second is a non-linear metric learning. So methods like kernel methods and deep metric learning used for non-linear transformation data to more complex relationship between the data points. Supervised metric learning. In this method, used to the label data to guide the learning process, and unsupervised learning learn the metric without explicit labels of the data. Malobvious distance. So in this, use supervised settings which takes into account the covariance of data. Contrastive loss, a loss function used in deep metric learning that encourages the similarity between positive pair and discourages the similarity between negative pairs. Siemens networks. So neural network designed to learn the similarity by comparing the pairs of the data. Matching networks. So in matching network, type of network that learn to match an input to set up the example. Our next topic is autoencoder. So autoencoder is a basically is a type of artificial neural network, and it is used for the deep learning, and it is also for the unsupervised learning tasks like unlabeled data tasks, and primarily for dimensional reduction and feature learning. So they are designed to learn an efficient compressed representation of input data. So basically autoencoders is used for unlabeled data set, uh, and also used for the feature learning method, feature learning of the unlabeled data sets. So autoencoder basically consists two parts, encoder and decoder. So in the encoder, just take the input data and transform it to the lower dimensional representation. So often called the bottleneck or latent space. So the encoder learns to capture the most significant features, patterns in the data, effectively compressing it. And the decoder part is takes the compressed representation from the latent space and attempts to reconstruct the original input data. So the goal of the decoder is accurately reproducing the input, indicating the latent space, effectively capture the essential information. How it work the autoencoder. So in the encoder, three features are found. First, we take the input data, all are interconnected to each other, then encode the data, input data, encode the data, then reconstruct the data and produce the output. First, so in autoencoder, first take the input data, then encode all these data interconnected, and for input data is encode, then after that reconstruct the data and produce the output. So encoders are trained by minimizing the reconstruction error between the input data and reconstructed output data. So applications of autoencoders are dimensionality reductions, like compressing high dimensional data into lower dimensional data while preserving the essential informations. Feature learning, extracting the meaningful features from raw data that can be used for other tasks like classification or clustering, denoising. So training an autoencoder to reconstruct clean data from noisy input effectively removes noisy data, and also used for anomaly detection and generative models. So next is the dimensionality reduction in networks. So dimensionality reduction in network is the process of creating low dimensional representation of high dimensional network data, such as like a graph with many nodes and edges, with preserving essential structure, property, and dynamic behaviors. And this is achieved through feature selection method, like pick the most important feature or feature extraction with transform and combine the feature into a smaller set. So some common dimensionality reduction in network techniques like PCA, LDA, which reduce the complexity and prevent the overfitting and improve the model performance, and facilitating the data visualization and storage. So dimensionality reduction is basically the process of reducing the number of input variables or features in the data while preserving as much important information as possible. So in the given figure, so first input data, all the data are mixed, combined together, then we apply the feature extraction method, and we take only the important feature and remove the unused information. So dimensionality reduction is basically a convert the high dimensional data to the low dimensional data while preserving the important information. So why reduce dimensionality? Because some of the key points of the reduced dimensionality, because reduce the computational cost and time for analysis, prevents overfitting. So in machine learning models, by decreasing the complexity, simplified complex data helps to avoid the curse of the dimensionality. So that's why we need the reduced dimensionality. Techniques for dimensionality reduction. So first we use the feature selection method and feature extraction method. In a feature selection, we extract in input data, we extract some important features or some labels of data, and extract all the irrelevant information. In a feature extraction method, we use some techniques to convert the high dimensional data to low dimensional data, like PCA, LDA, network enabling techniques, network analysis. Applications of dimensionality reduction is basically used for network analysis, bioinformatics, cyber security. And challenges of the dimensionality reduction, like data loss when we reducing the high dimensional data to low dimensional data. So we remove the some important features, and the second is interpretability. So it can be challenging to understand the relationship between the reduced dimensions and the original features. That's all. Thank you.